So this is my second part of question 199, that is I'll solve it using depth first search. It says binary tree right side view. So we are given the root of a binary tree and we need to imagine that we are on the right side of it and we need to return the value of nodes that we can see from top to bottom. So this is 1 followed by 2 followed by 3. Then we have got null and then 5, null and then 4. And when we see this from the right side, we could see these three elements. That is, at level 1 we have got 1, 3 at level 2 and 4 at level 3. So we need to return this. So I'll solve using DFS. Let me take a simpler example. So we have got 1, 2, 3 on the right of this and then comes 4. So over here I got null pointer. So my first task would be to create a vector called answer that will store all my values that I could see from the right at each level. Okay, and I initialize something known as depth to 1 and I call my DFS with the given root. Okay, so this is I send the answer and the depth. So when my DFS function is at this node, so if it checks if this is a null pointer or not. Since this is not, it goes and asks what is the depth. So it says my depth is 1 right now and the size of my array answer is 0. That means this is the first element we are seeing from the right. So we push this into the answer array. So I push 1 over here. Now I call the right of this. So I go to the right of this. Okay, upon reaching right, I check what is the depth. So my depth is, so I increment depth and send. So while sending this I put d is equal to 2. So my depth is equal to 2. Now I ask what is the size of my answer array. So it says it is 1 and my depth is 2. That is, I am seeing the rightmost element. So I push this into the answer. So I have got 3. Now I go to the right. Since this is a null pointer, I return. I go to the left. Since this is a null, I go back. Okay. Now upon going back to this, I go to the left of this. So it asks what is the depth. So this depth would be 2. Okay, and it says what's the size of answer. So my answer is also of size 2. So I don't push this into the answer array. Now I first make the right call. Okay, so this is a null pointer, so it goes back. Now I make the left call. I have incremented depth. So my depth is 3 and my size of answer is 2. So since my depth is greater than size of answer, that is, I am seeing the rightmost element for the first time, I push this into the answer. Then when I return from this, and upon returning, I am able to successfully create my answer. Now I'll code. I'll solve 199 using depth first search. So over here, my first step is to create a vector called answer that will store all my values that I see from the right side. Now I create a depth first search function where I pass in my root, I pass in my answer, and the next thing I pass is depth. Initially I have set the depth to be 0 and then I return my answer. Okay, so over here I create a function called DFS. So it would take in input, that is the node. Okay, and this node can either be a null pointer or pointing to something. Then we do reference cell and this is tree node. So over here I take the current node, so this can be a null pointer as well. Then I take answer, the the mutable vector, and all elements of it are of type 32. So this shows the right side view answer. Then I create depth, that is the current depth in the tree. Okay, after taking this input, my first point is to continue only if the node exists, that is it's not a null pointer. So I do let sum node underscore rc. So if my node exists, then only this continues. So I create a reference of the node, that is borrow the tree node inside the reference cell. So I do node underscore rc dot borrow. So I first so if this is the first node visited at this depth, then it is the rightmost depth and I need to push it into the array called answer. So I say if my depth is greater than answer dot length, then I push this answer dot push the value of this node. Okay, next thing would be to call the DFS, for the right child and for the left child. So for this we clone the RC pointer to the right child. So reference of this dot right, so this is there. We pass the answer vector and we increment the depth by 1. Similar thing we do for the right, that is first we visit the right child and then second we visit the left child. So we do node dot reference and this would be left, that is we clone the RC pointer to the left child and then we send answer and the depth incremented by 1. Okay, let me run this.